vision to cover everything again, to bring everyone on the same side again. So we covered, of course, the main cycle, which is always. Now you should understand all the 4 steps. First of all, we're always starting with identifying liquidity, first on the higher time frames, and then combining it with the intraday liquidity. Because again, obviously higher time frames will always win. If you take a sumo here, that's a perfect drawing of a sumo ringer, right? And if this is like a little guy here, maybe that's Sakba, right? And they will fight against each other. Of course, guess who's gonna win? It's not Sakba in here, right? So of course, always higher time frames for bigger buyers, and then later on, and then of course later on, you identify it on the intraday play and then see how on a bigger picture it will line out. Okay, so then you identify beyond the cycle, of course, like what is the cycle? Build up, inducement, mitigation. That doesn't matter if you're on the 4 hour or on the 1 minute, it's always the same exact cycle. You're always waiting for some sort of build up, and of course some false reaction and inducement into that. Maybe this inducement already is a mitigation to the left. If not, you wait ideal scenario, break of structure here and mitigation here. Now you already know that this also can be a perfect let, perfect, and then you're trading after here an EDM maybe, and that's your third and final entry. And that's always the same approaches in here. Extreme entry, mitigation of the inducement, which perfectly being a let sometimes, and then the last entry being an EDM in that order. Okay. Then of course we look for inducements, as we know already, as we saw in Asia, for example. If this is Asia range, right, and we never induce to the upside, what you can do, you identify the liquidity here, maybe Asia midline, perfect. You never induced Asia high. What can happen? Induced low, Asia midline, perfect. You're waiting for a reaction here, 1 minute. You're trading now into the inducement, the buy trade. Of course, now you're looking for the same stuff all over again. Liquidity traps in here, smart money trap maybe, proper mitigation or inducement in here. And then of course you're closing your buys in here and looking for break of structures, and then for the sell in here. Okay, that's the direct order, trading into the inducement or trading away from the daily cycle. That's always your same approaches, but of course look for the inducement, right? And then we also digged into finding the trading opportunity as the 4 approaches we showed you so far, right? So again, that's the 4-man stack, and it's always the same. It doesn't matter what time frame, it doesn't matter what pretty much pair, it doesn't matter whatever instrument you're trading, it's always the same cycles. Okay, and then we have our normal cycle, which always is the build up, inducement, mitigation. It cannot get easier than that. The moment you really can identify like the proper build-ups, it's always the same. It's just the way you know how to approach it. And then you combine it with the mitigation, you combine it with the LETs and the EDMs, and you're set to go. You combine it with the whole daily cycles and all the variations we give you, understand where you're on the cycle in terms of the bigger picture. You're so prepared for everything that's going to hit you. Okay, and of course we dig into the normal daily cycle in here, like the perfect daily cycle. Of course, a minor inducement in here, London opened it, and you have best case in here a break of structure, right? Or like this with the break of structure, and then you're trading a mitigation away from that. Then you're having the break of structure in here, which also is a minor inducement, but of course in a bigger picture it is a break of structure in here. Then you can trade this. You already know what that might be. Of course, it might be an EDM in here, and then this one London close can also be the EDM in here, and the reversal happens in New York. Easy stuff, you know all the timing confirmations if you include that in here, right? Of course, looks on the charts exactly like that. Now we can combine it with the entry helper. Then all of a sudden you have an LETs, EDMs combined with timing, perfect cycles, after break of structures, right? It's just making so much sense at some point. The only thing is you need to get used to those concepts. Okay, it's very important that you see it hundreds and hundreds of times and understand the different variations they can bring, because again, they're very, very limited of what they can do. They just mix it up pretty good. But then again, the intentions is always the same.